All right, so Andrew this morning told us that cybernetics needs to be performative. And if cybernetics is going to have any meaning for us on a going forward basis, I would like to demonstrate that indeed we're going to be performative. So this is going to be a little different than your normal talk. When Wiener, and we're at a Wiener conference, came up with cybernetics, the meaning was steering, helmsmanship. So first order cybernetics is the study of steering. Control systems, how to steer. First order cybernetics does a wonderful job at telling you about content. So what I would like to do is take your little piece of paper, please, hold it up. The colors are the content. And traditional science is also very good at studying content. Now, I would like you to notice that there's a back side to the piece of paper. And I'd also like you to notice that you're holding the piece of paper up, or it's on your lap or wherever, so the piece of paper exists in a context. We tend to focus, in the way we do normal science, on the content. And it's funny, when we put the piece of paper down, the assumptions sort of get buried. We don't focus on them. We focus our attention on the content, so we don't notice what's going on in this context. And we tend to assert ceteris paribus way too often. So, now, there are many ways one could deal with this. And I was trained, unfortunately, in the management sciences. And in the management sciences, the solution to this, and I'd like you all to try this, is take your piece of paper and stick it to itself so the colors go all the way around. Right? So the management science approach to this is we're going to refocus. Now the content is outward facing to the context. And we have this nice coherent center. And as long as we've limited our constraints and asserted our ceteris paribus the right way, that center is nice and coherent, and we have content outward facing and all is well. Okay. Why is cybernetics valuable? What is it that cybernetics can do for you that will give you another way of looking at the world? And I'm going to give you just a little simple analogy to play with. Take your same piece of paper here. Now I'd like you to unattach it. Turn the piece of paper a little bit so that the white is stuck to the colors. That 1/2 twist is everything. Why? Well, try running your finger around it. You will now notice that the content and the assumptions are part and parcel of the same surface. You have brought observer and assumptions into your model. You cannot merely deal with content. The underlying assumptions are present. Now, there's another change that has occurred, a very important change. In that management model, that nice coherent center was separate from the context. In fact, it was separated by the assumptions and the content. So we have a nice coherent center and we have context out here. Please take your new model. You will notice that no matter what you do, that nice supposedly coherent center is part and parcel of the context. It has now melded together. So in inserting this twist, we have practiced second-order cybernetics. What we have done, instead of focusing on the content of what it means to steer, is we have learned how we might go about steering and how we might learn to steer in multiple contexts. So, your takeaway, because what good is a conference presentation if you don't have a takeaway? Aside from walking away with a little model piece of paper that you're going to throw away in a minute. To the extent that you are faced with something where you find yourself asserting ceteris paribus, where your focus is on content, what second-order cybernetics does for you is to tell you to please ask. What happens if I take this nice flat piece of paper and I turn it into this Mobius strip. What are the implications for my content and my questions when I focus on assumptions and context? And what happens when I no longer am able to stand outside the piece of paper looking at the colors, but I find myself inside this Mobius strip surface? And I am now part of the system. I am a practicing participant observer. And if you can just keep in your heads this transition from a flat piece of paper to this Mobius strip, you will have in your head a marvelous analogy for how to go about doing second-order cybernetics. And hopefully, that will help you. Thank you.